All right, guys, welcome to the best damn arm wrestling sports show ever. Thank you for joining us. My name is Paul Linn, and I am just blessed to be here with these guys one more time.
Yep, and you got Reza Domaganian from South Arizona.
Scott Wynn from Los Angeles. Good to have you back, brother.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
Seems like
Amongst
forever.
good people. Wardrobe change it all.
Oh shit, we got some
I got like
going on.
I got like 10. I got 10 of these shirts, so I wear one every day.
So do I. What I love is like the comments on YouTube, like, get this guy another shirt. And I'm like, bro, I got like 75 green shirts. They're all army green. I promise I wash them.
Another color. Hey, so how was the tournament out there in Pennsylvania?
Keystone States, yeah, this was our 4th annual. It was huge, and we were a little nervous because we held this event last year, a year ago, almost the exact same date, and we held it at a Parks and Rec center in the middle of like 4 like softball, baseball fields out in a big open field, almost like festival style. We did that because of COVID, and we chose because we didn't know what was going to happen with COVID to do the same thing. And the good Lord blessed us with good weather last year, and he blessed us with good weather this year, which was just a little bit hotter. But last year we had like 350 arms entered, which was a good turnout. We've done better in the years past. But this year we had 243 arm wrestlers show up. So we haven't counted the arms entered, but I think we're probably close to double that. And we like I said prior, we just staffed the ever-loving shit out of it. So we had basically six sets of refs and 4 tables running, and we were able to get done in the same time with no arm breaks and no injuries.
Dude, that's incredible. With knowing that there was several other tournaments, including a nationals, to still get that great of a turnout. That again, that shows you the numbers that are out there for competitive arm wrestlers. Like it's a lot bigger than we all think, I believe.
Well, if you want to like go back to like some of the stats, James Reed and I, CNY Arm Wrestlers, that's Michelle Dugan's husband. That's like my partner in everything I do. It's my man. And we had floated several ideas. So one of the things we did in the past was creating a first timers class. And that's nothing new. But so we have a first timers class. That means your novice class is a true novice. You're a first time arm wrestler. We did like a light and heavy, like 200 under and 200 above. In both right and left hand, we had over 20 entries in that. That's and cool. Then most of them pulled amateur also. And we introduced and this is, I would love to hear you guys' feedback on this. But we floated this at one of Bart Wood's tournaments not too long ago, which was a semi-pro class. And I know a lot of people think there needs to be less classes and everything else. So we floated the semi-pro at Bart's, and that wound up being the most heavily entered class. And we did the same thing here, and it was very, very similar. So we didn't break down the numbers yet on the brackets, but what are your thoughts on semi-pro? So the idea behind it is like give the amateurs who are going to lose for 5 years and maybe get like scorned by the sport and leave, an opportunity to have kind of like that semi-pro like farm league. The flip side to it, I will say before we move forward, is the Pro 185 class, and the Pro 185 class had 27 people in it. So it didn't take away from pros. We made the rule that in this tournament, you are only allowed to pull up one class. So if you pull amateur, you can't pull pro, you can pull semi-pro. If you pull semi-pro, you can pull pro. You know what I mean? Or if you pull novice, you can pull amateur only. You can't pull up beyond that. So what are your thoughts on that?
You want to go first, Scott?
No, go ahead. Go ahead and share your thoughts. I'll share mine.
Pick it apart, please.
I think having a semi-pro class is a beautiful idea. And there's a few reasons why. I think there should be a novice class for first-time athletes. Mm-hmm. I think that novice class should be identified as the most likely to have injuries. So you can stop those matches as soon as they go into any kind of a bad position. You warn the athletes of this beforehand. Yeah. I think you do the same thing with the amateurs, where you're still watching them very closely and making sure that they don't go into bad positions. And semi-pro, you're going to warn the athlete and then maybe issue a foul for a broke arm position. You see what I'm saying? And the nice thing about a semi-pro class is it also gives, in the United States and all over the world, there's B and C class athletes that won't show up to tournaments because they know that there's 5 A class athletes that are showing up. So this gives them incentive to actually show up and compete. You know what I mean? And not go to amateurs and win amateurs and discourage amateurs from wanting to compete, because there are a lot of semi-pros that still compete in amateurs because they're afraid to take that next level on. So I think it's a great idea, Bubba.
Yeah, I like
Right.
it. I like it as well. We've talked about this before. I think it's good in a lot of ways. One being that the levels, obviously, it's like any sport, or let's just take karate, for instance, right? You go through the color of belts.
Mhm.
And this is kind of the way it should be programmed with both the arm wrestlers and the referee, right? So
Right.
referees, they get at different levels. The same for the arm wrestlers. So you reach a certain level and you go to that next level, right?
Right.
And that's a great concept, and I think it's something that happen in the future for sure. But I love the idea. I've had people ask me if I was going to do that with the United Arm Wrestling League, and I said, yeah, eventually, as the membership grows, we'll definitely have divisions like that.
Well, you
No,
nailed it. You nailed it. You can't do it at like a small local where you're only going to get 70 entries, because that screws everything up.
now
But
another
like, if
thing I wanted to bring up, Paul, sorry to interrupt you,
no, you're good.
is when you're throwing your tournaments and you have multiple classes like this, how do we distinguish who's what? Is it the athletes that are distinguishing it? They're just choosing, or do we qualify athletes as real pros in the
So
future?
when we floated it, we toyed with the idea of time in the sport. So when we put the flyer out, and don't quote me on the time, but like amateur was like under a year and a half or something, like, and then like semi-pro would have been like a year and a half to like 3 years without, dominant. We put it by time, but then we also like pseudo enforced it. So like there was a gentleman who entered the amateur and semi-pro, and a couple people came up to me and was like, why is he an amateur? What's going on? So I simply went up to him and said, are you sure you want to enter amateur? We know you're good. The semi-pro class is built for you. We will refund you if you feel the need to pull out. I don't want your peers to be mad at you for sandbagging, And he was like, no, I want to pull it. And then 10 minutes later, he came back to me. He said, you know what? I want to pull out. And he took it. We gave him his money back, and then he won semi-pro. And then afterwards, he was kind of like, thank you for saying that to me. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So like, I think there's a thin line between, and when James and I were talking about it, I said to him, like, we can't just put years on it, and we can't just put like, you won 3 tournaments with, 50 entries in it. Cause like that was up here. That was what was always said. Like, if you take 3 first places in a novice class, you're now a pro. Well, if you're at a novice class where there's 2 people in it and they hand you a first place medal because this guy never arm wrestled before, how is that fair? So there has to be
perfect example, right? We have a guy that won. I'm not going to mention his name, but congratulations to him. But nobody showed up in his weight class.
Right.
He is now a national champion. Right. Okay, so that could be completely misconstrued for him to enter a tournament, and I'm not going to judge his level right now. He may be able to go pro. But as far as I know, you know what I mean? He could be amateur and he's only arm wrestled 3 times. In any case, he showed up, he got the medal, but he had no competitors to arm wrestle.
Right.
So you don't know how good this kid is. You might say, oh, I'm a national champion. Oh shit, jump in the pros, man.
Right.
You got this,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not a good measuring stick. And that's why, again, we organize the sport a little bit better, especially with the internet these days.
Right.
You can keep track of pretty much all the statistics. But if we did like a point system, again, it works for rankings. It would work for levels of pullers. and it works for the referees as well. It works all the way around for all sports. So it's just a leveling system of building your way up.
Right.
Yeah, I feel like it'd be nice also to have the athletes have to get educated. So like a new athlete comes, you give them like a little pamphlet. It's like 10 pages. It explains the different techniques, the different transitions and techniques. And then it also explains how not to break your arm. It explains the basic rules of arm wrestling.
Well, hold on. You're going to have to make it 1 page, Reza. You know, arm wrestlers don't get past the first page.
Well, then I can just do like a cartoon drawing on 1 page and it just
Perfect.
be like a guy breaking his arm, be like, don't do this.
The big circle.
I mean, no, what I'm saying
You're
is
better
that,
off
like,
making a 3-minute YouTube video. You'll hold everyone's attention for 3 minutes.
that's true. That's true.
That's not a bad idea.
It isn't really.
No, it's not.
Well, Reza, you made a really good point too about like that novice class and amateurs and having like the 4 classes. That was the arm break stuff is 100% right. We announced that right off the bat. Like we did our little reffing seminar. Here's the rules. Bart talked. James and I kind of cut in and said, if you are in novice or amateur, you will not be warned in a break arm position. The match will stop and you will get a foul.
Yep.
You can be angry, but we're not gonna allow you to break your arm. So we are fouling you in break arm position. If you don't understand it, come up here and learn about it because
Now,
you're
look,
getting fouled.
you give them that ultimatum, you know, and again, we can go talk about the slip, right?
Yeah.
The same thing. If you're giving them ultimatums, like, listen, if you come up here and you outrightly slip on purpose, you are going to be fouled. And if you do it twice, you're going to foul out. You can't just let go. You know what I mean? And that's the ultimatum. And that's kind of what needs to come back into the sport too. You know what I mean? You're telling the guy to hold on, not to let go. You know?
Right.
So what do you think about strap pulling? Are you more confident with strap pulling versus free pulling, or?
I don't know. I got a lot of people tell me my hand's stronger outside. I feel like I have more control in the strap because as I've progressed along, everyone forces their way to the strap, myself included, because that's my comfort zone. I've gotten to a point now where I don't really arm wrestle without the strap unless it's working with another guy who's younger in the sport, because especially in the WAL, it's a foregone conclusion.
Oh, yeah.
So let's be serious. It is what it is. And like what you're talking about, Scott, the only way to stop that from being a foregone conclusion is to allow that gray area of like, hey, did you slip intentionally or didn't you? Because at any given time, other than when both people top roll and it immediately happens, one person chooses to slip.
Yeah, I think
Always.
the only solution to what Scott's saying is ultimately warning all the athletes before the tournament that if a slip occurs, both athletes will receive a foul.
Oh, yeah.
Now it makes you want to hold on because you don't want to get fouled.
Right.
But that will probably never happen because most reps would
We're
never.
not, we're never going to eliminate the straps, and that's not the idea. The idea is to just make guys not let go intentionally. You know what I mean? If you really can't hold on, if you and I are locked up, and I really can't hold on, then there's still a way to get out without me like just walking up and letting go.
Yeah.
You know what I
But
mean?
as long as the strap exists, there's going to be a strategy to get to
For
it.
sure. 100%. And so what are your thoughts on the strap as a whole? Who does it favor? Like what style of arm wrestler? What characteristics?
I think you can learn the strap.
Right.
You know, just like you learn how to arm wrestle, you learn every technique. You learn the technique in the strap.
Well, I
Then,
believe
again, just like when you're competing against anybody else, you got a strap game against this dude, Storm Chilino, and you're going, I know his strap game's better than mine. I got to try to figure out how I'm going to beat him, but maybe I could beat him, you know, but chances are he's too good in it.
I feel like strap pulling changes the dynamics of the sport. And what it does is, outside of a strap, if we both had to hold on, Paul, there might be a chance that I could take your hand simply for the fact that I have a big hand. You know what I mean?
Right.
But the second we get tied together, there's no fucking chance in hell I could touch you. Because it makes muscle categories versus muscle categories.
That's my point. That's my point.
Yeah, but
So
that ain't a true philosophy. I'll still beat guys stronger than me in the strap. I do it all the
right
time.
here, this is what I'm getting at, right? So for me, in my mind, if my wrist is strong enough and I know what I'm doing enough, I can access larger muscle groups. That's the way I think. You talk to Paul Talbot, he says, if I'm going to pull somebody bigger than me, I need the strap because they're stronger than me and I need to be able to use the strap to beat them. So to me, it's almost like, what is the real truth? So like what you say, Reza, like you have
Well,
a better chance of
his
taking my hand outside of it.
the reason why he feels more comfortable in the strap is because he's got a longer pendulum to work with. So when he gets into the strap, he can bring his hand up.
Mhm.
You see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
He's gonna get more of a rise.
Yeah, he's literally opened up a new fucking Pandora's box, basically of angles.
Now, if somebody has a longer arm than him
That makes sense.
in the strap,
Right.
then it's going to change the whole dynamic of the way that he's going to approach pulling in the strap.
Well, that's like, and what's so funny, like you talk about Stormy, you said like everybody knows Storm's strap game's pretty good, but Storm's hand outside of the strap is mega. I need the strap so that he can't crush me outside of the strap. And so like, where is it? Where does it really make sense? I can't pull Storm outside of the strap. His finger pressure, this ridging weirdness that God gave this guy is not normal. So I need the strap to kind of keep me in there and not get pushed under him and cupped under him. So there's such like, it's wizardry, man.
Definitely.
You gotta learn the dark arts.
That's why it's called the sports handicap. It aids the disadvantaged, or it helps to even out what they call the odds.
Well,
Right.
again, a person with a larger hand is going to attack a person with a smaller hand at their weakest vector, which is the fingers.
Right.
So you have a smaller person who knows that their fingers have no chance.
Right.
They want the strap wrist to wrist, large muscle categories versus large muscle categories. And I feel that is a huge advantage to a person with those larger muscle categories.
Right.
You know?
Now take Alan Fisher, for example, right? He's got one of the biggest hands, right? Huge hand. I love his hand. I have no problems with when I grip up with Alan,
Yeah.
I'm at home. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I'm like, I know exactly what I need
Well,
to do with
there's a
him.
difference in size of hand. So Alan's got just a big hand. But if you look at Luke's got wide hand from his knuckle to knuckle, and then his thumb is kind of short, but he's kind of got a fat thumb. And if you look at like Bosgan, he's got a short thumb, fat muscle as well. I feel that a big hand isn't necessarily just your fingers. It's also the depth
Right.
of your thumb muscle, because that
Right.
compromises your ability to get around their hand.
Well, all of it too. The thickness of your palm. Like you ever grab a guy who his palm is so thick that you feel like you're being swallowed, but his fingers aren't that long.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the width is huge, and like, yeah, now it all plays in. And the interesting part is what I've found over time is that hand size does not equate to hand strength. And obviously you see that when you pull up in weight classes. And Storm's hand is the same size as mine, possibly smaller. Jason Merlot's the same way. He's the other guy that I see in the middleweights who has a weirdo cupping finger strength. And it's ironic though, too, that where you would say like, all right, the guy with the larger muscle groups should benefit more from the strap. But then comes into, do you know how to manipulate it? Because if I'm pulling a super heavyweight class, 9 times out of 10, even though those guys are bigger and stronger than me, I do want the strap against them.
Now let's take cadence out of the picture. If they were to get the hit on you and put you into a negative position, would that strap still benefit you?
Most likely.
Well, yeah, it all depends on
Most
your
likely, because
geometry.
depending on what I'm doing,
Yeah.
if I can stay, depending on the puller and what I want to do, whether I want to turn in and I'm okay going palm up, or whether I want to stay out and stay pronated, I can usually go to the B side, and I actually usually will not hit in the strap. I'll hit more outside of it.
So you're more of a absorbing kind of defensive strap.
Yeah, I kind of do the same thing. I let it get engaged first with pressure before I start applying pressure.
Yeah, I want to feel where that stops. So like if I can get it low, if I feel it bite in there and I feel my top strap cinched in good, if I'm staying high, I'll run with it. I'll go B-side with it if I'm staying outside. If I want my hook, I'll feel, is it tight around the back of my hand? Can I go palm up and stop the match? Because 9 times out of 10 in the strap, if I'm hooking, I'm not initiating. I'm letting that strap cinch up and let that down pressure and pronation stop it. And just having faith that my bicep can stop it. So I'm just tying myself as tight as I can and putting everything on my pronation and bicep.
Now, do
and
you
going
feel there's
here.
a disadvantage to what side of the strap you are applied?
100%. And a lot of, you guys both might say, like, everyone has their own. If you think, I tell the new guys, I said, if you think, listen, new guys, everybody out there, if you're an amateur or a novice and you go to your first arm wrestling tournament, take your arm wrestling palm and put it towards the up ref and walk to that side of the table, for the love of God, please. You need that for every aspect of arm wrestling. If you think that the buckle's helping you, you're crazy. It's not. Even the fair strap, you can do the half twist like Devin does. It is still a disadvantage.
And
You have to put on double the wizardry, in my opinion.
what do you feel it does to the person who's on the downside of the strap?
What does it do?
Yeah.
Number one, when the strap's being tightened, you're being pulled under. So you have to do more not to be pulled under. So you're being supinated, your webbing is being lowered, period, because that's where they're pulling off of. And I know we've toyed with the double strap and different things like that. There's been a lot of things, but none of them have kind of caught speed other than the fair strap where you feed it through the loop. The other thing is feeding it, like the fairer strap eliminates a little bit of it. The old school thing really cinches it and forces the bottom strap up a little bit when it tightens down. Those are like real things that happen when you put it in the fairer strap. It is what it is. In order to keep your webbing higher and in order to keep yourself from falling under, you have to actively work really hard in the setup.
Yeah, fight counter the strap essentially as it's being cinched. Yeah.
Right. Now, if you really do your job and you work really hard to get back to neutral, it's not that big of a deal. But you have to work really hard. If you just go up there and put your hand up there and let the ref put that strap on you and tighten it down and let your opponent say, make it tighter, you're in trouble.
Now, outside of the strap, are there any benefits to being on the side of the table where you're facing the ref?
Absolutely, because you can see the mouth of the ready go. Okay. If I'm looking this way, I'm looking at my hand here, and I want to anticipate that go. I can see, because every ref is almost all of them have some form of cadence. They might break it every once in a while, but you can look at their eyes, pupils, things of that nature. If it's a WAL setup and they're just going to say go from here, you can anticipate that and probably get away with a little bit of a tenth of a second earlier or whatever.
I feel as like when you're talking about the buckle being pulled, the Ferris strap, first of all, I think definitely made a big difference for me. And then when I'm in the strap, I actually dump my wrist when I set up.
Okay.
Hard. And then once it's applied, I cinch up just the teeny bit. And when I do that, I feel the strap tighten to where in my head, I'm like, okay, I feel the strap, you know? So I know when they pull on my hand, how the webbing, I don't know if it really affects me when I'm dumping so much, if his webbing gets up higher, because I'm trying to grab low around the hand.
Yeah, I'm the opposite. I'm like, I want to create the biggest gap possible between me and my opponent. And then I want to get the strap as low down here. I want a big gap right here, and I want the strap as low as possible. And right before the match, I'm going to act like a retard and kind of move it up a little bit, give myself even more of a gap, and snap outside.
Yeah. And everybody who likes the top roll needs to listen to exactly what you just said and take notes.
I actually, I mean, the only time I can recall losing and the strap was at the Worlds in Turkey. It was in the finals. I was undefeated out of 22 competitors, or 22 counting me. And the Italian dude, he gripped up high, dude. I was still new in the strap. Like I still hadn't really, like mastered it. So I grabbed load, and he's tall. The dude's like
Came
6'3".
over your hand.
Oh yeah, he was way up high, dude. It was easy for him in the strap to kill me. He killed me in the strap, It was a huge mistake doing that to a guy with a longer arm, is what I'm saying. So dumping your wrist works for me unless the guy's arm's taller than mine.
When you dump your wrist, are you inverting? Are you pronating at all?
No,
Or you're just dumping straight like this?
straight down hard.
Well,
Okay.
again, I feel that you shouldn't necessarily dump your wrist forward. You need to dump your wrist back.
Yeah.
Because
Right.
look, when I go forward, my webbing goes lower.
Mhm.
But when I come back, I'm actively getting my webbing higher.
Yeah, you'd have to consciously go up to the table and lean your hand further over, which is a great technique. And then when you do that, now you're still center.
Exactly.
Now the ref's not, because I'm always getting pulled back to center, it
Center.
seems like a lot. So
Yeah. Yeah. When you feed the other side of the table, the ref's kind of making him look like the asshole. That's you.
yeah.
So 9 times out of 10, when I approach the strap, I'm approaching it with a posted high knuckle. My rationale for that is your points of contact. A lot of this is coming from Travis and different people, but I've picked and chosen what I want to do for versatility. If I'm low handing like that, that means I might be able to get my webbing higher. But at some point in time, if I want to top roll because I'm not a low hand top roll, I'm going to have to bring my knuckle up.
Yep.
Now, once again, this is my third most favorite thing to train, but I also know that if I'm on a loading pin right here with that thing running off my top knuckle or here, that I can pick up substantially more weight with that thing locked than I can pick up like this and go like that, to the tune of about 20 pounds.
That's a good
And
point.
so, and I also train this in a negative. I bounce it. Like I'll take that loading pin and that strap and I'll bounce weight until it fails to try and create that lock up here so that if I want to stay knuckles high with that fist like Travis does, I can. But even if I don't, if I'm up here and I can get this top strap as low as I possibly can, I have a huge anchor point on my opponent. If I can close my hand before my opponent in any way, shape, or form, I'm going to gain control and squeeze faster. And the earlier I gain control of that, the better the height I get. The flip side is if I don't want to stay outside knuckles high and top roll, if I want to hook, I want this portion of my hand as far past my opponent as possible.
Yep.
So whenever I have my knuckle up, like you talked about, Reza, having that strap down like the backside of your hand rather than across it,
Yep.
like having it here, the further I push forward, the better chance I have in having it down here. So I can top roll from that position with a posted high cup, or I can push forward and throw my shoulder and the heel of my hand around as well. Now it's a different feel. Like as far as like when I'm feeling what I want in that strap setup, I'm pushing and I'm moving different.
Driving forward, are you driving forward coming up to create a gap, or are you driving side and down?
I want in the setup, I want to drive up and around in the setup.
Yeah.
If I have it in the setup and I feel it's there, like if I feel the heel of my hand around my opponent, like around the thumb pad, like I know it before the go. Like I know I'm getting my hook.
Yeah.
I might not get it A side, but I'll get it B side and stop it. You know what I mean? If I feel that around, I know that I'm going to turn it. At least all I have to do is get like 2 degrees in my wrist and I'm going to be able to stop the match or turn it in. So the only reason I go with the post is because I have versatility. And from that position, I can also drag. So the times that I do low hand, but I low hand in an instance where I want absolutely nothing to do with a hook. And I'm going to just thumb pad rotation. Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. Just controlling, like Alex top roll. That's pretty much his move.
Yeah.
And then he rolls out through the wrist, low hand. And it's hard to stop a tall arm, that's for sure, because the leverage point gets so high up, you can't keep up with that height.
So you need,
and when you want to hook that, hooking that is really, really hard. And I've trained with Alex and pulled with Alex a ton of times. And you have to run at him. Like you have to just say, my pinky is going to stop you.
Yeah.
And you have to be able to commit there too.
I've always considered the best counters to the low hand is the high hook, whether it's coming straight back like this
Boom.
or it's coming up here. Both.
And we talked about Chance Shaw prior. That is the difference in Chance Shaw. Chance Shaw made his hay for 3-4 years on the low hand top roll.
Yeah.
And he does not have a long forearm. Chance Shaw does not just low hand top roll anymore. That's the difference. He can post and he can do different stuff now.
What do you think? What do you think's contributing to his his gains? How he's crushing everybody right now? I mean, he's kind of on a little spree.
Supplements, dude. Nat Fit, didn't you have a shirt on earlier?
I got a Nat Fit shirt. No, I don't think the supplements that Chance Shaw is taking, getting to 300 pounds, are the kind that we necessarily want. He might be supplementing with carbs. I don't know. I think that the guy is focused on arm wrestling. I think he's gone through stints where he's not. I don't know how consistent he is in the gym. I know he says he is. I talk to him fairly regularly, but I know he's training and he has a YouTube channel, and arm wrestling is in his mind.
Oh, yeah.
So when arm wrestling is in a guy's mind, they probably get better at it. And plus he's a baby.
Still young. He's got nothing but time.
It's crazy.
Good stuff, though. So we were going to talk to you about the matches that took place in Dubai, just briefly to touch on those.
Okay.
What was your opinion on Devin and Michael Todd?
Didn't you say something about supplements?
Pancake.
No, I don't know. Pancake diet, like I said, carbs. No, I don't know. Devin is like Super Saiyan mode right now. So that version of Devin is something that we never saw. Based off of like their practice pool and knowing Mike, and me not following Devin a whole lot, I didn't realize he was going to come in at like 298 or wherever the heck he was. So I might have staked differently.
Same here. That's the
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, super impressive is the only thing I can say. Like, talk about dominant.
How much did you lose?
I don't want to talk about it. No,
Yeah,
not that much.
it can't be as bad as Paul Linn.
No. Yeah, I don't listen. I play this play money. It's silly money, not a lot.
Yeah. Right on, brother. We're getting down to like the 2-minute warning, so we're probably gonna have to do a part 3.
Okay. Hey, I'm here for you guys whenever you want to reload.
Yeah, let's do it.
Sure. Till next time, guys. Appreciate having you, Paul.